In the space of 9 decades, or little more than an average lifetime, man has come a long way in conquering the perils of flight. His skill has progressed to such an extent that the process of flying and the technology surrounding it have both evolved beyond all recognition. When Wilbur and Orville Wright made the first powered flights at Kitty Hawk in December 1903, they turned the mysterious art of aviation into a worldwide attraction. Their achievements heralded an age of aspiring aviators, and an array of strange and wonderful machines appeared, some of which proved to be more deadly than airworthy. As the fantastic exploits of the aerial adventurers became more widely known, commercial support and public interest in this great new pursuit grew at a furious pace. By the end of the decade, Blériot had crossed the Channel, and the world's first aviation meeting had already taken place at Reims. The first meeting in Britain was held at Doncaster, and regular meetings followed, most notably the RAF display at Hendon. All over Europe, the likes of Cody and Farman were being hired to perform in front of the public on an ever-increasing basis. As the machines became more capable and more reliable, the leather-coated pioneers became heroes and celebrities. The romantic golden years of flying were well and truly underway. Within a few years, the First World War had stimulated great advances in aeroplane design and performance. By the 1920s, enthusiastic airshow spectators were being treated to a heady mixture of daring aerobatics and graceful formation flying. Display teams were provided by the fledgling RAF and equipped with the latest fighters or trainers. They paraded their skills with mass formations of aircraft flying at low level, just a few feet apart. To demonstrate the RAF's role in both the Middle and Far East, bomber squadrons laid on exhibitions of precision bombing, using as their targets specially constructed forts made of wood and plaster. close formation flying became a true art form, as display teams performed maneuvers that gradually increased in complexity and spectacle. To emphasize the high degree of accuracy and the level of aircraft control required, some teams even flew with their wingtips tied together by cords. To the layman, such displays were an amazing sight, and the excitement they generated produced a steady flow of new recruits for the RAF. For the display pilots, most of which were either instructors or fighter pilots on short-term commissions, the airshow circuit became an ideal showcase for demonstrating their skills and for honing them to perfection. Squadron leader Peter Latham.
Aerobatics have always been a thing practiced by fighter pilots. In peacetime, it's a way to get to know the limits of the flying an aircraft. You don't really exactly do nice formation aerobatics when you're dogfighting, but you need to know what the aircraft can do. And aerobatics is an awfully good way of training it. It also gets you used to applying large amounts of G, both positive and negative. And so fighter pilots have always been aerobatic chaps. Before the war, of course, with the Gladiators and the Hawker Harts, they did a lot of very fine aerobatic flying, the Empire Air Show and Hendon, Castle Bromwich, places like that. After the war, again, the great thing was to get started, and with the jets. Jet was difficult to do aerobatics with because the great advantage of a piston engine aeroplane, propeller-driven aeroplane for aerobatics, is that the throttle is also a brake.
By the end of World War II, the RAF had changed dramatically. With a string of battle honours to its credit, it had thousands of aeroplanes and air crews on strength. Before long, a rapid program of demobilization would reduce its manpower to peacetime levels, leaving the junior service with far too many personnel in some trades and not nearly enough in others. The Second World War had brought about rapid advances in aircraft technology, and by 1945, the age of the jet engine had dawned. Although still subsonic, the RAF's new jet fighters were almost twice as fast as many of their piston-engine counterparts. In order to cope with the high-speed capability of the latest jets, such as the Gloucester Meteor and de Havilland Vampire, new pilots with a different kind of flying skill were needed. So, to attract the cream of the available young men, the RAF needed to maintain its appeal, and the most effective way of doing so was to perform regular displays in front of the public. The high level of national esteem generated by the role it had played in the Battle of Britain gave the Air Force an ideal opportunity to organize air shows that would match the successful recruiting displays of the 1930s. Throughout the country, RAF airfields devoted a weekend in September to celebrate the Battle of Britain by organizing special at-home days. Each airfield demonstrated its own particular role by building up a flying circus of the most modern aircraft in service. To add to the excitement, jet aerobatic teams formed with the best pilots would spend the day touring and performing at the major shows. At Biggin Hill and other fields associated with the 1940 victory, large crowds watched displays laid on by the Meteors of 54 Squadron and the Vampires from North Weald. In 1948, the Farnborough Air Show saw the unveiling of some of the world's most advanced prototypes. The de Havilland 108, piloted by John Derry, had been the first jet aircraft to break the sound barrier. Public fascination for the new world of high-speed aviation was heightened by the sonic boom, and Derry's achievement fired the imagination. At the SBAC show in 1952, Derry and 29 spectators were killed when the DH-110 he was flying broke up in mid-air above the crowd. But it was against this background of high-speed test flights and jet display teams that the seed was sown for today's Red Arrows. Their story really began in 1938 with a 111 or Treble One squadron. As the first unit to equip with the Hawker Hurricane, Treble One had demonstrated its tough new fighter by flying from Edinburgh to Northolt at a record speed of 408 miles per hour. To the press and public of the piston engine 30s, it was an amazing feat, and one which made front-page news. "18 years later, Treble One Squadron was equipped with Britain's latest jet fighter, the Hawker Hunter. As the RAF's first swept-wing fighter, it had already set the world airspeed record with a speed of 727 miles per hour. It had superb handling and was a delightful aeroplane to fly. Treble One's new CO, squadron leader Roger Topp, was intensely proud of his squadron's history and set about making his pilots the best in the RAF. He set an example by regaining the Hurricane's old record with an Edinburgh to Farnborough time of just 28 minutes at a speed of 715 miles an hour. Having quickly recognized the Hunter as the ideal platform for aerobatic flying, Topp established a team of 4 display hunters. Before long, they had become the representative team for their group and the reserve team for the whole of the RAF. A year later, they ranked as Britain's #1 aerobatic display team. For the next 4 years, they would retain their position as the elite formation team. But at the end of the 1958 season, Roger Topp was promoted to wing commander and had to take his leave of the display circuit. His job as CO of Treble One was taken over by squadron leader Peter Latham.
Every squadron had an aerobatic team, took part in local air shows, their own Battle of Britain shows. But it was a chap called Roger Topp, who was my predecessor as CO of Treble One, who really built it up into large formations. And he built up to 9 aircraft as a regular formation size and produced some startlingly good aerobatics and formation changes. And whereas we always preferred to be known as Treble One Squadron, because that was the name of the squadron, the name Black Arrows came from the fact that all the shows being done in France attracted the French press to call us Le Flèche Noire, and that picked up in England, the Black Arrows.
The Black Arrows became a title that stuck. Unknowingly, the French press had begun the universal tradition of giving formation teams descriptive names instead of purely numerical ones. Peter Latham was precisely the right man to succeed Topp. Determined to build on the impeccable reputation of his squadron, he led the team to even greater public acclaim. In the belief that they were now part of the entertainment industry, he introduced smoke trails to add to the artistic performance, and he worked fresh routines into an already spectacular series of displays. Peter Latham vividly remembers the world-famous 22 aircraft loop, performed by the team in farewell to Roger Topp. It was a breathtaking show of airmanship, which has never been equalled since.
When Roger was going to leave and hand over to me, he did the most rotten thing to a friend. He did that 22 aircraft loop at Farnborough. That was the most magnificent effort. He did it because the squadron had heard that the Pakistani Air Force had attempted to do a loop with 16 aircraft. They hadn't completed the loop. They'd gone halfway up and they came at part of the top. But Roger thought he would put the record out of anybody's reach. He had to borrow aircraft, borrow pilots who'd been on the squadron, and perform that quite startling spectacle at 1958 at Farnborough. It's a long time, of course, since I was leading the Black Arrows. It's close on 35 years. And things have changed a great deal. But really, the style and the system, the techniques which Roger Topp developed and which I carried on, are the ones followed by all the aerobatic teams today and by the magnificent Red Arrows.
Change to box. Go. Pulling up now. Big formation. Go. Stand by for smoke. Smoke.
Not only did Latham improve the artistic side of a display, he also enhanced the crowd's enjoyment by using the team's own commentator to explain each maneuver over the PA system. Sometimes, a radio link with the aircraft would allow the crowd to hear the leader's voice as he gave instructions to the rest of the team. New formations were given attractive names, such as Wineglass, Bombburst, and Diamond 9. In 1960, for its farewell performances as the RAF's premier aerobatic team, Treble One Squadron assembled 16 Hunters. After beginning with an impressive loop performed by all 16 aircraft, the formation would split into two groups, one led by Peter Latham and the other by Leslie Boyer.
We get very attached to the airplanes that we fly, and although, of course, there's a great desire to fly something new, it's always sad when the aircraft phases out. But they're bound to phase out, because in the military competition, this awful business of defense and attack, you've got to keep on with the air defense fighter, with the things like the Hunter. You've got to keep on matching what the enemy can do with his bombers. And of course, eventually the Hunter wasn't able to match the performance of any likely enemy bombers. It really couldn't fly fast enough, climb quick enough, or carry enough equipment. It was replaced with the Lightning, and the Lightning, of course, was a superb aircraft for its speed of climb, its outright speed, fully supersonic, but also, of course, it had a much greater capability with its airborne radar, which made it one of the first true day, night, or weather fighters.
With its dramatically high speed and astounding rate of climb, the Lightning was the ideal aircraft to take over as the standard frontline interceptor. Its unique ability to thunder away vertically immediately after takeoff provided it with a spectacular entrance to any airshow. And with its twin afterburners spitting out flame, it made an awesome sight. When it entered service, the top speed of the RAF's fastest aircraft doubled overnight. Although the display team of 74 Squadron regularly put on immaculate performances with the Lightning, the aircraft itself was far from ideal for tight-turning displays or for low-level routines. For one season, the Firebirds display team and their Lightnings shared the limelight with the Black Arrow's successors, the Blue Diamonds. But at the end of the year, responsibility for providing the premier display team was transferred from Fighter Command to Flying Training Command. The mantle was taken over by the Red Pelicans, a team of instructors from the Central Flying School, equipped with the Hunting Jet Provost. The displays they performed were high on artistic content and were much admired by their peers. But the Provost had neither the speed nor the sleek lines of its predecessors from Fighter Command. Before long, attention was being focused on the Yellowjacks, a team of part-time instructors based at RAF Valley in Wales, and flying the advanced trainer, the Folland Gnat. Led by ex-Black Arrows member Flight Lieutenant Lee Jones, the Yellowjacks proved that in the hands of an expert pilot, the Gnat was the perfect aircraft for aerobatic displays. It was highly maneuverable, had docile handling characteristics, and was capable of Mach 1.5 in a shallow dive. Soon the group moved to the Central Flying School, and in 1965 they took over as the RAF's premier team. With their numbers increased to 8 aircraft and their team color changed to red, the Yellowjacks were renamed the Red Arrows. In the hands of the Red Arrows, the Gnat proved to be a reliable and highly competent aerobatic machine. Over the next 15 years, it served them for almost 1,300 performances before it was superseded in 1980 by the latest advanced trainer, the British Aerospace Hawk. Powered by a single Rolls-Royce Turbomeca turbofan engine, the T1 Hawk had a top speed of 647 miles per hour. With an improved rate of roll and a greater fuel capacity than the Gnat, it enabled the Arrows to expand their aerobatic program considerably. Like the Gnat, the British Aerospace Hawk had shown itself to be a reliable and rugged machine. It can be quickly converted to a combat aircraft with a considerable punch in either ground attack or air defense roles. It has consistently performed a demanding schedule, averaging 100 air shows per season. And in doing so, it has helped the Red Arrows to maintain their universal reputation as the smooth, immaculate team that has been leading the aerobatic world for nearly 30 years. At home, the Red Arrows are a household name. Abroad, they are Britain's flying ambassadors. Following their successful tour of America in 1981, they have thrilled spectators throughout Western Europe, Scandinavia, the Middle East, the Far East, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, and Russia.
Wish you to spend a good time here.
Мы постараемся все сделать для вас, чтобы вам было
We'll
здесь
do
приятно.
all our best just to provide your rest here to the most life scale.
Excellent.
Very simple. Yeah.
Прекрасно. Good.
During the early years, the intense competition for a place in this elite team was limited to qualified flying instructors. Nowadays, each of the display pilots is highly experienced, with at least 1,200 hours on frontline jets, such as the Tornado, Harrier, or Jaguar. In a time of national or international emergency, the team can be quickly reorganized to play a fully operational role. Each pilot plays a particular part in the team, and the aircraft they fly are numbered Red 1 to Red 10. For most air displays, the pilots are assisted by a support team consisting of less than 30 engineers and ground crew. One officer and 9 men usually travel as passengers in the Hawks, while the rest of the support crew carry spares and equipment by transport aircraft or road. Before the aircraft themselves arrive, one of the first jobs for the ground crew is to allocate a parking slot for each machine. The area is carefully measured out, marked and numbered, so that on landing, each Hawk can move straight into its designated spot.
I went to junction 5.
As the team approaches, the ground crew clears away any stones or debris that might constitute a potential hazard. Once on the ground, the aircraft are thoroughly checked and refueled. Smoke-laying canisters are topped up with red, white and blue dyes, and the Hawks are given a final cleaning before the display. Team leader for the 1994 display season is Squadron Leader John Rands.
I'd say there's about 70 engineers, 60 to 70 engineers that we have on the team. They're divided up. What we have wandering around in the background now, the blue suiters, are first line, and there are about 25 guys, 10 of which will fly in the back seat of the aircraft when we transit into a display site. So we've just all landed, the guys get out now and they're turning the airplanes around, so they're being refueled now for tomorrow, they're being cleaned. Any servicing that needs to be done will be done now.
Each year, 2 or 3 pilots leave the team and are replaced by new members, selected from a sizable group of applicants.
Well, for me, I guess the selection to become one of the team started about 5 years ago when I first applied. And due to other commitments in the RAF, I didn't really get a look in until last year when I was shortlisted from approximately 50 applications down to a shortlist of 9. I visited Scampton for a week with the other 8 chaps, and I was selected from that. I'm very proud of being a member of the team. It's taken me quite a few years to get into the job, and it was always an ambition of mine even before I joined the Air Force. I suppose the sensations that I experienced before a display are probably similar to those of an actor who's about to go on to the stage. I get butterflies, I suppose you'd call them. I try generally not to think about the display until about 30 minutes before, and then I give it total concentration. And there's obviously a briefing that takes place before we fly. And then I think once I've started the engine, then the adrenaline takes over.
It's off 2-1, it'll be a display takeoff, around the houses, downwind, 9 arrow, and we'll probably start in 9 arrow if there's a bit of bumping going on. Les, is yours the latest info you just got? Yeah, just lifted at that now for a moment now. Okay, we'll still ask, we'll ask the question going out there, so we'll see how we go.
As the team make the final preparations, the rest of the airshow carries on around them. When the time comes, the 9 Hawks start their engines and taxi out in a neat and orderly line, ready for takeoff.
The team is essentially run the same way that any RAF squadron is run. We have a set number of aeroplanes that we use during the display season, but because of the commitment during the summer season, all the large maintenance tasks that take place during the winter period. We have 9 airplanes in the formation. We bring a 10th as a spare, and that's flown by the manager, Squadron Leader Les Garside-Beatty, who's also the commentator during the display.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Very sorry about the delay, but I'm sure you'll realise the importance of ensuring the safety of the aircraft on the runway during the takeoff rule before we actually started our display. After the modified display takeoff, the team are actually going to get together very, very shortly, and what we're going to provide for you this afternoon is the second half of our display, which has some new manoeuvres in our 94 sequence. The Hawk, of course, has been flown by the Red Arrow since 1980. There are very few modifications to the basic Hawk aircraft, which is used for the advanced training and tactical weapons work of all the fighter pilots of the Royal Air Force. The basic modification as far as Red Arrow's flying is concerned is the ability for us to generate that smoke colour. The white smoke generated initially by injecting diesel fuel into the jet exhaust, and to colour it, we merely add an industrial dye.
display flying, on the organisation thereof, it seems to be infinitely variable. Whether the show's running to time or not, certainly running into a show site, you've got to be prepared for well, things out of the ordinary. Often the show will be slightly late, so you end up holding. So we actually plan to arrive at a show to the second, and if we get cleared in our allocated slot, then life's fine. Sometimes we're held. Not a major problem. The other one is the weather. I mean, we have three types of show: the flat show, if the cloud base is quite low; a rolling show, if we can actually roll the entire formation in about 2,500 feet, cloud-free. So all the time, I'm looking at the weather, whether there's a gap there, whether I can actually loop the formation.
Disappearing behind us, it leaves the stage free for the synchro pair.
Well, the synchro leader at the start of the year, it's my responsibility to train up my number 2, the synchro 2 pilot. So that takes up the first 5 to 6 months of the year. During the summer, then it's my responsibility to draw all the display maps for the boss, for myself and number 2, for all the up to the 100 displays we do throughout the summer. And then obviously during the display itself, in the second half, when the synchro pair have split away from the main section, it's up to myself and the leader of the team. We have to coordinate between each other to get the timing right for the actual display. So those are the three main responsibilities, I would say, of the synchro lead.
So let's watch now then as that smoke colour changes for the synchro pair from our left and right as they approach the first opposition manoeuvre. We call this the opposition barrel roll.
The main difficulties facing the synchro pair is we always try and aim to get our crosses exactly in the same place every time in front of the display datum. And now the problem comes, that means we've both got to fly exactly the same speed and exactly the same sort of ground track, but we'll be affected by wind, so we have to put in a correction for the wind. So one of the main problems we have is allowing for the wind, and that presents our most difficult problems, together with some of the sites we fly. Some of the sites are far more difficult than others. An airfield site, we've got a runway to line up on, and so you're pointing at each other. It makes it easier to judge. When you're over the sea, obviously there's no feature to line up on, so those are some of the difficulties that we face in the synchro pair. It's extremely important to work as a team. I think that's why our selection procedure is so rigorous. We definitely need to get the right people in the team. It does get very busy in the summer, and we spend a lot of time working with each other as well as living with each other, so it's vitally important that we're able to get on, no doubt about that. So it is important that we can work as a team.
We'd like to follow those aircraft away to our left. To the left you'll see the return of the remaining team members and a new manoeuvre for our 1994 sequence. Let's watch first of all as Red 6 rolls inverted. Flanked by 8 and 9, we'll see Red 7 trailing Red Smoke as he completes the corkscrew.
We accept guys who have done probably in the Air Force 10 years. They'll have gone through their flying training, which takes up to 3 years, and then they'll have done at least 2 operational tours. So normally they've got a minimum of 1,500 military flying hours. They're assessed as high average to above average. They've got to be flight lieutenants. They've got to be available. They've got to be willing and keen. And basically every year we get applications from 50 pilots to join the team. We will then shortlist. The team will shortlist 8 to 9 names. And they will spend a week with us. They will fly with us. They'll fly in the back seat watching us display. They'll fly in the front seat and not doing a massive display, but just on my wing doing a very simple and basic flying test. We'll socialise, they'll have an interview, and at the end of the week we will select 3 new guys. It's quite a tough course. training in the winter, it will start in October, November. Of the 9 pilots, 3 leave every year, 3 new guys join, and so initially the first few weeks while the older guys who have been working all season go away and do a bit of leave, then the new guys stay around with me, the boss, and basically we'll do all the basic stuff so they're ready to actually accept people onto their wings. In a standard day at Scampton, which is our base, we share the airfield with the Central Flying School. We have 6 slots, 30-minute slots that we'll use where the airfield is ours, the airspace is ours, and I will fly 3 trips a day with the main formation, and Synchro will train separately as well. They'll do 3 trips a day.
For a pilot, as a pilot joining the team, you'll start off flying just 3 or 4 aircraft in close formation up at 3,000 feet or higher. And as you become more competent, then you'll be able to come to a lower altitude and more aircraft will eventually join in. And that basically just progresses then until eventually you'll fly in the first 9 ship, and the training then continues until we're ready to display in the summer.
As the main section disappear away in front of us, stand by for the return of the synchro flare. About 5G as the 2 pilots enter the line of stern loop. They'll complete this manoeuvre about 5,000 feet above us. Watch as that smoke colour changes once again to red and blue in preparation for the synchro split. From left to right once again then the synchro pair, this time with double rolls.
It can be quite stressful, especially if you fly 4 displays a day. There's no doubt about it. I need 100% concentration throughout the display. And if I fly 4 times, that's 2 hours. And it can be quite tiring. But to say that there's no room for any mistakes isn't quite true. There are times when mistakes are made. Sometimes they're out of our control. And we do practice what we call escape maneuvers. So if something does go wrong, then we have a practice maneuver which allows us to get out of the formation as quickly and expeditiously as possible.
I think the fact that we're a full-time team, I mean, it is a demand. The flying is very demanding, and we wouldn't be able to do some of the movements we do unless we were full-time. So the fact we're able to do it full-time, the fact we brief everything and we debrief everything very thoroughly. We're very critical, and we try to select the people best suited to the job. We're in a job where we're fortunate enough to be able to select the people who we think are best able to do it. So there are a lot of factors which go to making it a good display.
When we go abroad, we're flying British airplanes, we're showing what UK is all about, and I think that's very, very important. This weekend that's just gone, we were in Norway, probably the biggest air show in Norway, probably one of the biggest gatherings that we will see of international aerobatic teams, the Italians, the French, the Swiss.
We have a close association with a lot of the other display teams that do the European circuit, such as the Patrouille de France. We have a very good relationship with them, very friendly and very professional. but there is some friendly rivalry, and we always watch with great interest to see what displays they'll be doing, what routines they'll come up with each year.
Your eyes open. We're expecting the horizontal bomb burst next.
It's a difficult one to live with when people tell you you're the best in the world, and I think anybody who believes their own press are in great danger. All the display teams in the world are very, very different. Our style is different. I'm sure the British people like to think we're the best in the world. I'm sure the French people think the Patrie de France are the best in the world, and the Italians think the Frecce Tricolore and vice versa.
At the top of the loop, the team are actually about 6,000 feet above us. They're doing about 150 miles an hour. As they complete the Vixen loop, watch as they fan out in spectacular fashion. Actually formed up now into the largest of all the formations which we fly. It's a shape which is just a very large arrowhead, which we call Big Battle. If you look to the right, you see the team as they come towards us for the final time. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the 1994 Royal Air Force aerobatic team, the Red Arrows.
The Red Arrows have always been important to the RAF. I believe they're even more important now. The Air Force is getting smaller and smaller, sadly, as the military drawdown and all the new OK sort of politically correct words are used for more and more defence cuts. I still believe that we've got to show people what we're capable of. We're supposed to be smaller, leaner, meaner and keener, and the Red Arrows are the best of what the Royal Air Force is about.
Over the years, perhaps 100 pilots have held a coveted place in the world's finest aerobatic team. Although the basic maneuvers used today are inspired by the efforts of their predecessors, these men have extended the art of formation flying beyond all previous limits. With sheer skill and faultless timing, they have created scenes of aerial perfection that have delighted audiences all over the world.